Hello and welcome to Mtoto News Insights with me, Omar Hamed. Before we start, let's first of all have a look at the headlines today.
The CBC is not being repealed. What this good team is doing is to look at it, get the views.
The Deputy President launches the review committee of the competency-based curriculum.
If you cuss right now, how does it help you? It doesn't teach you a lesson. It's just a word that can mean something that may hurt someone. So if we bring
And on our discussion this week, we talk about the use of vulgar language by children. Thank you so much for tuning in and welcome. This week, the outgoing Cabinet Secretary, Professor George Magoha, and the Deputy President talked about the newly formed CBC Review Committee and the changes it's supposed to make to the education system. The Deputy President further reinstated that the CBC is not going to be taken down. Our journalist Brian King has that story. Take a look.
In a meeting attended by the outgoing and incoming Cabinet Secretary for Education, the Deputy President, His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua, officially launched the Presidential Working Party on Educational Reforms.
I am well aware that this distinguished assembly has brought together eminent professionals, high achievers, impactful citizens and public servants with substantial track records in matters to do with education, training and skills development. Congratulations on your appointment to serve on this working group. And thank you for making yourselves available for national duty at this time when this country and its millions of learners need you most.
He then went on to call for complete review and restructuring of the education system, saying the new government is committed to creating an observable quality education.
From early childhood education all the way to university, we must forge a path that coordinates the players in the subsectors and reconcile the workings of the subsectors to produce a coherent framework for education system governance in order to align it with broader national aspirations. The rule of law, good governance, global competitiveness, economic growth, national stability and culture depend on a sound educational system focused on the full expression of its citizens' capabilities.
He then noted that over the past 10 years, survival rates in primary schools have dropped.
The big issue we have to resolve relates to quality and equity in general, and especially as it relates to access in arid and semi-arid regions, informal settlements, and areas affected by high incidence of poverty. Indeed, obstacles to schools' participation in these communities not only undermine our achievements in promoting access through the free primary education and free day secondary education program that to a large extent affect children from disadvantaged and vulnerable backgrounds, compounding the social justice problem. This can be seen in the fact that over the past 10 years, survival rates in primary and secondary schools have dropped, and as a result, many school-age children are out of school. We therefore look forward to recommendations that will enable us formulate aggressive affirmative measures to urgently bridge the gap in access to education in disadvantaged counties and communities. The CBC is not being repealed. What this good team is doing is to look at it, get the views of stakeholders and the people of Kenya to keep and improve what is good and to address challenges of where there could be weaknesses. We have a duty as leaders to do everything within our power to give our peoples and our learners a similar environment that we were given by our parents and the government then. Talk to everyone. Talk to the unions. Talk to KEPSHA. Talk to KESHA. Talk to the teachers in primary schools. Talk to people in ECD. Talk to the private schools. Talk to people in special schools. Talk to anybody who cares to say something about education. And I also ask the people of Kenya, please don't stay at home and criticize the recommendations when they are pronounced, yet you are not available to come and say something. Because the people of Kenya have that problem. They stay at the shopping centers and criticize everything there. You know, and yet when they are called to say something, they don't say. But they are the first ones to criticize anything that has been rolled out. I'm inviting all critics, including the press. We also want to hear your views. Don't just sit on Sunday and write columns criticizing what has been proposed. Prepare a paper as the people of the fourth estate and come to this working party and present what you think can help this country in matters of education.
Reporting from Mtoto News Insights, I am Brian King.
And Brian King's story takes us to our first break here at Mtoto News Insights. But don't go too far, we are coming back with that discussion on the issue of the use of vulgar language by children. Are children learning these languages from their parents or guardians? Don't touch that dial. Welcome back to Mtoto News Insights. Before we took a break, I had highlighted on the topic that we're to discuss right now with my child advocates on the use of vulgar language by children. So I'm going to let them to introduce themselves and then we can start. Let me start with you.
So my name is Eliana Njiko Klasengilai. I am 12 years old from Bapuni Aspapri. I'm Kenya's youngest Mashuja and East Africa's youngest climate change ambassador. So when I was 4 years old in kindergarten, we were doing this big project and it was about heroes. So I really fell in love with what grandmother I was doing. And so I started planting trees. So 1 tree became 10 trees, 10 trees became 50. And so far now I've planted 1.3 million trees and I'm hoping to plant 1 trillion more.
Thank you so much, Elian. Let's go to Kinyai.
Yes, my name is Michael Kinyai, a child advocate. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Michael. Yes.
I'm Daisy Njoroge, KCL leader, Speaker Njoro Sub-County, and also a child advocate.
Thank you so much, Daisy. So today we're speaking about the use of vulgar language by children. So first of all, let's start with you as a child. What does vulgar language mean to you?
For me, vulgar language is technically something a language that is used mostly by teenagers that is not really good and also safe because it administers different kind of messages.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Daisy. Let's come to Kinyai. Kinyai, what is vulgar language like according to you? What do you think it is?
According to my own understanding,
yes,
it's lugha chafu. Ile lugha inatumia huko mtaani.
Okay, sawa basi. Elian, tell us, what is vulgar language according to you as a child?
So personally, me as a 12-year-old, I hear a lot of people in their 20s and above and teenagers using a lot of vulgar language. So for me, vulgar language is basically a language which is not for anyone to use because in the Bible it's a sin. And if you put it closely towards God, you can ask for salvation. But if you ask for salvation and continue making sins, it gets to a point where it gets tiring and you end up just continually using it, and
wow, yeah,
it's
not nice. Yeah, it's not good. Wow, that's actually a really good religious view about it. So let's come to Kinyai. Kinyai, why do young people use vulgar language? Is it because of their upbringing, the technology? What is it?
Kulingana mimi nasema inaenda na trend because kwa sahi kwa society lugha sahi inasikika sana ni ile inaitwa shembeteng.
Yeah.
Najua, I know you know it.
Yeah.
So inalingana na trend vile inasonga. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much, Kinyai. Daisy, why do young people want to say those use vulgar language, especially these days?
I support how Kinyai has said that ni lugha inaongezwa kwa mtaa and it goes with the trend. So one of the reasons that makes most people use vulgar language right now, it has evolved from children also to grown-ups, because technically it started from grown-ups to children.
Yeah.
So it's a trend that's going on, and if somebody comes up with something, me as a child, I'll think of it as something that maybe is good. I won't even research more about it. Let's say I'm in school and then I just hear somebody use that bad language. Maybe that other child amesikia from a parent or something, and I'll be like, jamembia mwingine anajakasirika. It's okay for me to also do it. So I'll go and use the vulgar language in a way that I don't understand what I'm doing, but I want to do it to please others. Yeah.
Wow, thank you so much, Daisy. Actually, that's actually a really good explanation on why they actually use it. So let's come to Kinyai. Kinyai, do you think like maybe we can, these days we have the use of technology, the use of the internet, we have the use of all these machines, TVs. Do you think maybe we can, do you think technology has participated for children to use vulgar language?
Currently, yeah, because unajua hizo words ama kuongea hivyo inaenda na technology. Msee mwenye ako huko mashambani unaweza kuta anaongea hiyo shembe teng vizuri sana. Unaweza jiuliza umetoka na hii umefika ushago, unashanga the guy anaongea more than you, na alipataje through internet, na hiyo yote ni technology. Let's get it from Elian. Elian, do you think it's the use of technology or the use of TVs, radios that has brought about the issue of vulgar language, especially in young people?
So for me, I think vulgar language was can be transported through social media, such as people doing posts of, I don't really know, like songs, music, YouTube. Also peer pressure is one. So if you hear like a popular person saying it in school, you're like, this guy's popular. Why don't I become like them and start using vulgar language, and I might be popular. So it's to do with peer pressure, social media, basically technology.
No, that's actually very good explaining. So at this point in time, we are taking a short break here at Mtoto News Insights, but don't go too far. We're still coming back with the discussion, so stay tuned. Welcome back to Mtoto News Insights. Before we took a break, we were coming back with the discussion on vulgar language and its use. Now, Elian, you're the one who has the mic, Senior. What are some of the things now we as the children or the child advocates can be able to do so that we can stop the use of vulgar language, especially by children?
So for children, as I said before, it was peer pressure and wanting to be recognized. So for me, I think as child advocates, we should increase their knowledge on the spiritual side of it. So in terms of the sins and asking for salvation and all that. And then we can teach them, like, okay, if you cuss right now, how does it help you? It doesn't teach you a lesson. It's just a word that can mean something that may hurt someone. So if we bring a spiritual aspect to it and the daily aspect of it, children will actually understand. It doesn't help anyone. Because if, let's say, a prophet you highly believe in, or a pastor, just comes to church and just says some really bad words and uses vulgar language, so you'll stop believing them, because you think of them as people who never use vulgar language. So we shouldn't assume that vulgar language
is only done by
adults.
Yeah.
So I know some people in my school and other people I've heard do use vulgar language.
Yeah.
So instead of assuming it's only adults, we should also understand that some children do it in secret and don't tell their parents.
Yeah.
And play innocent. So we should increase awareness by using other child advocates and to teach the youth and children about vulgar language and how it helps or how it doesn't help.
How it doesn't help. Wow, thank you so much, Elian. Let's come to Kinyai. Kinyai, there's actually most of you and also Elian has also mentioned something about the previous people who are in the 20s, maybe the 30s are the ones who mostly use them, and we as the children pick it up from them because some of them are famous, some of them are popular and all that. So do you think the previous generation used it just because maybe they were brought up in harsh environments and all that, ama sisi ndo tuna pick up to?
Okay. Niza dhani ni hivyo vile umesema. Because inalingana pia na mta umelelewa. Uzi nyambie mse wa Karen anaweza ongea lugha chafu. Ukikompea na mse yako mtaani kaa Kibich. You see, kama mimi mtu akiniangalia hivi anaweza dhani natoka Karen. Unaona, lakini mimi nimezaliwa Kibich na hiyo lugha niliikuta huko. So nika pick up from there.
Okay. So basically it's the environment that you're in.
Ni environment. Si ati tunachukua kutoka kwa watu wakubwa. So watu wakubwa ndo wanachukua kutoka kwetu.
They are?
Yeah.
Okay, let's come to Daisy.
So ndo tunaform hizo words.
So let's come to Daisy. Daisy, do you agree with what Kenya is saying? Is it we picking it up from them and not them picking it up from us? Yeah.
I can halfly support him on that, because first of all, kwa kusema the adults pick it up from us, you come from a state, lamesema, mostly in the slum areas, you find a situation that mtoto amekasirisha mzazi, and then like you're in a rental place, and then the parent is like using that bad language. You as a child, let's say you are passing by, usikie the parent calling the child those bad names, you ukifika home, you're like you just want to find out about it, but you won't get enough knowledge to understand what it really meant, and in another instant you'll come and use it in a way that it's inappropriate. And the question that you asked, Eliane, on where we get these languages from, well, how we get to use them. First of all, we get them from social media. Is a really big platform that teaches children a lot. Even those kids that we think they don't have media to influence them, it comes from there. Let's say me as me, let's say I've visited somewhere, let's say in Mendushagu and something, I've visited there, and then I have a phone. So I'll bring this attention, Kai, we've seen a phone, so everyone wants to come and see. And the content that I'm saying is not really safe for children. So they'll come across words that they won't be able to understand them and get enough knowledge about them. So they end up using them among themselves, but they don't really know what it means. So they use it, but you'll think they did not get it from the social media platform. Maybe they got it from each other, but you find it's from the social media platforms, or even from the parents themselves. The parents also are a big contributor to children using vulgar language, because in the olden days, just to top it all, and in the olden days, there were this kind of parents that, the Kenyan parents, whenever a parent wants to prove a point, they'll give you a kind of they'll give you that to prove a certain point. And so you'll find some of the languages that were being used zilikuwa zinatumiwa kitambo. And so you find that they were still picked up from that time till right now, that they're still evolving from the olden days, but now what we're just doing, it's something, the term that the term that you're using right now was used like in the 19th, but it's just change of,
we are tweaking it.
We're just changing it.
Oh, it's evolving also.
It's, I won't call it evolving, I'll just change just modifying the term to be a bit more
cooler.
And not that offensive ilikuwa kitambo.
Asante sana Daisy for those inputs. Let's go to Eliane. Eliane, now I want you to advise some of the children out there, or young people who are using these forms of vulgar language or these bad words that we are not supposed to use as children and even as humans at large. So just advise this child out there about the use of vulgar language and how they can stop.
So I don't believe that vulgar language is something that you should be cool with. But in this generation, we have made it a language that everyone, like, if it's, we've made it almost close to Spanish, or English, or like daily things. So you use it in your daily sentences. So for me, how we can create awareness and advise children to stop using vulgar language is, number one, ask for salvation from the God you believe in, or from God. And then number two, I would just tell you guys to ask yourself, how does it help you? And if your parents find about it, doesn't it put you into trouble? And then you start blaming your parents, saying, oh, why did they beat me? Why did they punish me? That was unfair, this and that. So if we use vulgar language, I mean, if we get caught or if we get a punishment, we're going to start blaming it on others, but actually it was all our fault. So for me, I would stop using vulgar language if you're using it, and if it takes time, you should just let it go slowly, and just stay true and stay clean.
Oh, thank you so much. Stay true and stay clean. Twende kwa Kinyai. Kinyai, advise this child out there who's using vulgar language, and wapatie, why are they using? Just tell them to stop.
Okay, kulingana na mimi, unajua hiyo kutumia lugha chafu inalingana na place huko. Tuseme umeenda interview, unajua huwezi ongea lugha chafu, hapo utakuwa so official. So Kiingereza lazima itembee. So mimi naweza advise tu waangalie environment pale wako. Ukienda mtaani, hiyo hakuna limit, tutaitumia. Hata msee wa majua kuje bado tutaitumia. So mimi ndio advise tu waitumie kulingana na environment wako. Yeah.
No, as in, okay, that's actually a really good perspective, but like this, maybe these are children who are using this vulgar language, which is basically the bad language, like we know, Cindy. Like, would you tell them to stop maybe, or take steps maybe to stop, or what would you advise them?
Ningewaambia tu watumie positive. Unajua kuna zile positive lugha chafu. Yeah, ziko.
Okay, so thank you so much, Kinyai. Let's come to Daisy. Daisy, as we wrap this up, kindly advise that child out there who might be using vulgar language or picking it up from songs, movies. How would you advise this child?
Before I advise that child, let me go back to Kinyai. He said it determines from where you come from, but it's not really where you come from, because even that child in Karen has yes, that child speaks, let's say, English, but there's that vulgar language that child will use in the English format.
Yeah.
So saying that child there in Karen does not really speak vulgar language, it's not really right, because everyone uses vulgar language, but have that person who will help you out in, like, staying away from speaking vulgar language. Like how Elian had talked about your pastor, your religious leader. You won't expect that religious leader to speak bad language wherever you are. Even if you meet him or her on the road, you won't expect that person to speak bad language. So technically, if your religious leader is a good person and does not use vulgar language, that's a good example for you to emulate from. And also, you as a child, vulgar language is not really something that you should use. Just use the normal language. That's why you are in school, to study English and Kiswahili. So those are enough. Leave even the vulgar language from your mother tongue. Leave it.
Yeah.
Just speak the right language.
Asante sana, Daisy. I see Kinyai has something to say. Kinyai, just 30 seconds, what do you want to say?
Ningeongeza pia wakitaka waachane na hii vulgar language, wasome Biblia na pia wasome more stories.
Asante sana Kinyai. Waweze kusoma vitabu vyetu vya takatifu, si ndio? Elian, you had something to add?
Yeah, I was just going to say on what he said about like the area you're brought up in. So you can be brought up in an area that everyone uses vulgar language in daily sentences. But personally, it's your choice on how you want your life to be like. So if you're brought up in a place like the ghetto or the hood, you see people doing all these bad stuff, using vulgar language, but it's your choice. If you want to be a person who does not use vulgar language and stays clean, that's your choice, right? Nobody forced you.
So basically, you have a choice to make.
Yeah.
No matter the environment that you come from. Cindy?
Yeah. So just a few verses about vulgar language. So Proverbs 15:4. Gentle words bring life and health. A deceitful tongue crushes the spirit. Proverbs 18:21. Death and life are in the power of the tongue, and those who love it will eat its fruits. So what I can say here is, in the Bible it also says, you're okay. I've been told by the people who are like I can trust in the godly type of spiritual things. So if your eyes, your mouth, and your ears make you sin the most. So by our mouth saying, because today's topic is about vulgar language, us using vulgar language makes us sin without us knowing. If we don't study about the Bible, we wouldn't know that we are actually sinning in a very severe way.
Yeah.
And we hear the vulgar language and we're like, I want to use this. We see the vulgar language, let's say in song lyrics, and we're like, I'm going to use this. So yeah.
Wow, indeed. We should actually try our best and stop the use of vulgar language. Sindio, and I'm so glad to have you guys here as our children advocate and giving us these wise words. Thank you so much for coming, actually. So be sure to keep the conversation flowing at our social media platforms at Mtoto News, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. You can also find us on TikTok. We also have a beautiful website at www.mtotonews.com. You can also find me at all social media platforms at OmarHamed83. But for now, we say goodbye.
Bye.